Hi guys, welcome to the Migraine Scoop with Coop. That's me, Jennifer Cooper. So where am I from? If you watched my last video blog, I told you that I currently reside in San Diego, but the question of where I'm originally from is an entire video blog on its own, so here we go. When most people are asked where they're from, they usually answer with where they were born, where their family currently resides, or where they've lived the longest. For me, that is not a simple answer or a simple location. So today I'm going to walk you through where I was born, all the places, countries I've lived, and where I currently consider home. A little over 30 years ago, I was born in Aberdeen, Scotland, and not too long after that, my dad was transferred to Little Sandhurst, England, a town not too far outside of London. And here I learned how to talk, and bystanders would look at me a little strange because I was the only one in our family who had a British accent. And this is also where my sister was born. After living here about 3 years, my dad was then transferred to Los Angeles, California, where I lost my accent, as you could tell. And we lived there for about 5 years. Here I gained some memories. I remember dressing up as a fairy for Halloween. I also remember playing Little League soccer and also huddling in the doorway during a really scary earthquake while dishes were flying out of the pantry cupboard. Then, after about 5 years, my dad was then transferred back overseas to The Hague, the Netherlands. A lot of people ask me if my dad was in the military or a missionary, but no, he was in the oil business, so we would usually move around every 5 years or so. In the Netherlands, this is where I have really fond memories of the beautiful tulip gardens, learning how to ride a bike, seeing all of the windmills, and also partaking in a lot of the Dutch traditions, such as Sinterklaas, where we would put out our shoe during the holiday season, and if you were good, you would get a treat. If you were bad, you would get a big black piece of coal in your shoe. And one of my favorite treats was stroopwafels, so I would love having stroopwafels. So those are some of my favorite memories living there and things that I remember. We lived there for about 5 years, and then we moved back to the U.S. We moved right outside of Houston, Texas. And here is where I had a lot of my adolescent years. And so during that time, I went to elementary, middle school, and high school up until my senior year. We'll get there in a minute. And I partook in a lot of sports. I ran cross country and track. I also was in the band, even the marching band. Yes, I was a bit of a nerd. And I also had a lot of friends. So it was a really good time in my life, especially my high school years. And then my senior year, we found out that my dad was being transferred to Bangkok, Thailand. Yes, of all places, Bangkok, Thailand. And so this was pre-tourist boom. And so when we moved there, I was definitely a fish out of water. I went to an international school, so I was a minority in that school. And so I had to kind of, become accustomed to the different customs there, as well as, even though the classes were taught in English, a lot of the students were speaking different languages because, that was their traditional languages. But I definitely felt a little bit, like a fish out of water, and like I was a minority there. Because I was, in a different country. And so eventually I was able to kind of, find my way there, and I was able to partake in a lot of different activities and immerse myself in the culture there. They had a lot of really cool activities. I continued my musical activities. I got to play in the symphony and travel to Jakarta, Indonesia. Pretty cool. I also got to run cross country and track. We traveled one of our meets to run in the mountains of Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, that was really cool too. And so we would actually travel for a lot of our meets to other Southeast Asian countries and compete. And then one of the other really cool programs they had was called Week Without Walls, and you got to pick a location and you would then learn basically outside of the classroom. So you would be outside the classroom learning a new skill or activity, or just basically something, you know, different or different culture. And I chose to go to Australia that year. And so it was I think a week program, and so during that week I learned how to surf. And no, I cannot surf now. I can get on the surfboard, but I am not a good surfer nowadays, even in California. And so you can see me surfing. And also we did sand tobogganing down some of the biggest sand dunes on the island called Morton's Island, which was so much fun. And so I had a really good time immersing myself in the different culture and traditions there, even though it was a really challenging year, and I definitely missed my life that I had come accustomed to when I was in Houston. So once I graduated, my family still stayed in Thailand, but I moved back to the U.S. for college, and I went to undergrad at Clemson University, and then did my grad program at St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. And then eventually my parents made their way back to Houston, and I also moved back there while I was looking for work. That was during the really tough time of 2008 when the economy was really tough. And I was trying to find a job in my career field, which is biotech, and most of those jobs are West Coast or East Coast. And I knew that I wasn't going to find anything in my particular field in Houston, but I was able to get a job in the medical field, working as a research tech. And so it was definitely a way for me to gain all the skills, basic skills that I needed, and to just kind of start my career there, while I, you know, still kept applying for jobs in the biotech industry, which is where I really wanted to get to. Then in 2011, I was offered a job in my field in biotech in San Diego. So along with that, and as everyone else says, the weather and my love for the outdoors, it brought me here to San Diego. And I absolutely love it here. And so that's where I've been the last 9 years. Now I guess is the time to tell you where I think I am from. I've walked you through where I was born, all the places I've lived, and all of the experiences I've had. But that doesn't answer the question of where I think I'm from. If you'd asked me a few years ago, I probably would have said Houston, since that's where I've lived the longest and where my parents still resided. But as of a few years ago, they're now happily retired in Colorado. So I no longer have those ties. And I've probably equally lived in California and Houston, Texas, the same amount of time. So as of now, I would probably say that San Diego is where I consider home, even though it's not really where I'm originally from. While I might not be able to tell you where I'm from, and while I had a passport before my driver's license, and while I flew before I was able to walk, I have had some amazing experiences and have had the privilege of traveling the world and experiencing different cultures and countries. And so for now, I will consider San Diego my home and cherish all the memories and continue to experience new memories and be able to hopefully continue to travel as my health persists. Thanks, guys, and please subscribe and leave any questions or comments below.